So welcome back to my channel. As you probably already know if you've watched it, I got a lot of physical books for Christmas. But today I wanted to show you the ebooks that I got for Christmas. I normally don't separate my physical book hauls from my ebook hauls. I normally just put it into one. But this time I had a lot of books to talk about, so I thought it was just easier to separate the videos. First ebook that I got for Christmas was Reverie by Lauren E. Rico. This is the first book in a new adult dark romance trilogy. It follows this girl named Julia, who has always played the cello. The cello has always been there, especially to help her escape a hellish childhood. Julia has never wanted anyone to notice her, but since she's recently entered a high-stakes, prestigious musical competition, someone finally does. His name is Jeremy. Jeremy gets to know Julia and starts to look at her in a way that no one ever has. But then things take a dark turn. Love turns into obsession, and Julia doesn't really know where to go from here. I've heard that this is a good start to the trilogy, and it definitely focuses on the music and what happens in this relationship. I've never read a dark romance before, but I've heard great things about this trilogy, so hopefully I like it when I do read it. Next up, I have The Dark Light of Day by T.M. Fraser. This is the first book in her King series, and I think this is actually a prequel to her King series. This series is also a dark romance, and this book follows the relationship between Abby and Jake. Abby is a teenager who's homeless when she meets Jake. They both have a dark past, and through their dark pasts, Abby begins to realize that love isn't always found in the light. I've heard that this is a good start to the King series, so that's why I wanted to start here. I've heard the relationship between Abby and Jake is just amazing, and I've heard that if you want to get into dark romance, you should start with this series, so hopefully I like it. The next book I have is Monster in His Eyes by J.M. Darhauer. This is the first book in a trilogy, and this is another dark romance. I think this book follows a girl who's the main character, and she gets kidnapped by the guy that's shown on this cover. And while she's in captivity, I think a strange relationship starts to develop between them. She's always known that this man is a monster, but over time I think she starts to see a softer, more human side to this man. I've heard that this trilogy is dark and creepy, but it's also thrilling, so hopefully I like this dark romance. Next up I have Blurred Lines by Lauren Lane. This is the first book in a new adult romance series, and it follows the relationship between Parker and Ben. Parker and Ben have always been best friends, but when Parker's boyfriend breaks up with her, she can't really seem to understand why, and that she's never had the hang of casual sex. That is, until she tries it with Ben. Things seem to be going well, and their friendship doesn't change. It's intact and as platonic as ever. But when Parker's ex comes back into the picture and claims that he wants her back, Ben feels this strange urge of possessiveness, and he's not willing to let Parker go. I've heard great things about Lauren Lane as an author, but I've never read any of her books. I've heard that this is a great friends to lovers romance, so hopefully I like it. This is the first book in a series, and I think each book in this series follows a different couple. The next book I have is Complicating by M. Robinson. This is the first book in a new adult romance series. This guy was once in a relationship with the main character, but he made one decision or one choice that completely ruined their relationship forever. And I think this guy and this girl were always friends, and their friendship progressed to something more until he ruined it. So I think that his book is a second chance romance between friends. I've heard great things about M. Robinson, and I've heard that this first book in the series is really angsty, and that M. Robinson definitely knows how to handle angst and definitely emotional stories. So I'm really looking forward to this book and this series in general, since I love angsty and definitely emotional romances. Next up, I have Let's Get Textual by Tegan Hunter. This is the first book in a new adult romance duet or series, and it's actually a rom-com series. This first book follows a girl and this guy who come in contact with each other through a wrong number. And you're usually supposed to ignore wrong numbers, but that's not what happens here. The girl and the guy in this book continually text each other and start flirting with each other. The main character in this book isn't really looking for a relationship, but as the story progresses, she comes to think Zach, the guy she's texting with, might just be the right guy for her. I've heard that Tegan Hunter is a good author when it comes to romance, so hopefully y'all like this fun rom-com. Next up I have Suddenly Forbidden by Ella Fields. This is the first book in a new adult romance series, and it follows this girl who was in a relationship with her best friend, but their relationship developed into something more. But recently her boyfriend has broken up with her. Her boyfriend has fallen in love with her best friend. Now she has no choice but to start college single and on her own. But even if she's not in a relationship with this guy, she still hasn't fallen out of love with him. This book is definitely the first book in a college romance series, and I think that this book deals with a love triangle, since the main character did have a boyfriend, but now her ex-boyfriend has fallen in love with her best friend. So I could definitely see a love triangle going on here. And I've heard that this book does contain cheating, but I'm curious to see how the whole cheating aspect is handled in this book. I love college romances, so I think I'll really like this book. I've heard that this book is angsty, but it's also really emotional, so hopefully I like it. Next up, I have Getting Lucky No. 7 by Sydney Madston. This is the first book in a new adult romance series, and it's a sports romance series, since this series is about hockey players. The book follows this main character who's in college, who's shy and is close to actually graduating college. Since she's shy and not really an adventurous person, she realizes she hasn't done most things that other people her age in college have done, so the main character creates this bucket list of things she wants to do before she graduates college. And one of those things is to engage in casual sex. The main character isn't really sure about this. She's not really sure how to go about this task. But the love interest in this book is best friends with the main character. But since he's looked at her list, he finds himself growing attracted to his best friend. And he's not really sure what to do about it, but he's determined to prove to her that he can be her lucky number 7. I have a feeling that this is going to be a fun new adult romance series, and I can't wait to get into it. It sounds like it could be fun and funny. And I love hockey romances, so I'm pretty sure I'll love this series. Next up I have Consequences by Alethea Romig. This is the first book in an adult contemporary series, but I think it's considered a dark romance, or somewhat of a thriller. I'm not really sure how to categorize this book, but I know that it deals with mature themes, so it might be considered a dark romance. This book in this series follows this main character who gets kidnapped. She needs to adjust to her new reality, and I think she spends the book finding a way to escape. Along the way of her trying to figure out how to escape, I think the main character falls in love with her captor, in a way that neither of them expect. I've heard great things about Alethea Romig, and that she knows how to write dark romance well, so hopefully I like this dark romance and this thriller series. I've also heard that she writes lighter contemporary romances under a different name, but her Consequences series is what she's known for, so that's why I wanted to pick up this book first. Next up I have Fallen Crest High by Tijan. This is a new adult romance series. I've heard that this book is compared to the Royal series by Aaron Watt, since there's a lot of drama and a lot of high school things going on, since the characters in this series are in high school. I'm sure that the series just follows the different relationships and the drama that's happening in all of their lives. I love high school drama TV shows, so I'm pretty sure that I'll love this series. I also know that this book has a mature YA/new adult feel. I think that's a good mix. I love high school dramas, but I love new adult as well, so I think I'm really going to like this series. The next book I want to talk about is Loyalty and Lies by L.A. Cotton. This is another new adult romance series. I don't know if it's similar to Fall and Crest High, but I know that the characters in this series go through a lot of things. I think the love interest in this book has a damaged past, and the romance between these two characters has a lot of ups and downs. I've heard that this series is deeply emotional. And the final ebook that I got for Christmas is 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This is an adult fiction standalone. I've never read anything by Liane Moriarty, but I've heard that she's a great author. Unfortunately, I didn't really like this book very much. I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. You'll hear more of my thoughts about this book in my December wrap-up. But this is her latest release, and it follows these 10 people who visit this health resort. The characters in this book are each going to this health resort for different reasons. Even though I didn't like this book very much, I do intend to check out her other books, so hopefully I'll like her other books more. Those are all of the ebooks that I got for Christmas. If you want to see more videos from me, I'll put some videos up on the screen in case you guys want to check those out. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. I'll see you guys in my next video.